Welcome to the video. My name's Daryl, and today I'm going to talk about Climate Change Response Zero Carbon Amendment Bill. But first, a little bit about the Beehive. So New Zealand's parliamentary buildings has this iconic building called the Beehive, and the Beehive is the place where people turn up if they want to protest the government directly. There's a nice big lawn in front of the Beehive, and on the 20th of September in 2019, the Children's Climate March arrived at Parliament, and it was the biggest protest at Parliament ever. So about 30,000 people turned up, and that's in a greater city of about 300,000 people. And around the entire country, about 1% of people in New Zealand attended a march on that day in various cities. So it didn't take very long for the government to finish off the law they'd been working on, and this is the Climate Change Response Zero Carbon Bill. And now the government's going to get straight into it after they take a summer holiday. And in the new year, they're going to create a commission, and the commission is going to start on doing the work that's required by this bill. The commission works for the Minister of Climate Change, and they create reports, and the minister will take those to the House of Representatives so that everybody in Parliament can understand the situation with climate change. The reports are going to include things like targets and budgets and what we need to do to take control of climate change. The main tasks of the Commission are to review the emissions targets and budgets, but the really important thing they're going to do is do risk assessments. Risk assessments are to assess how climate change is going to affect New Zealanders and their businesses and everything in the country, and then use those risk assessments to make adaptation plans. And the adaptation plans will include changes to laws and regulations and how we do things and what we do. And that is going to create the results that we want. The Commission has to talk to a lot of different people. They have to talk to businesses, individuals, scientists, groups, people in New Zealand and people overseas. And a really important thing about the Commission is the Commission will stay, if you have an election and the government changes, the Commission will stay in, and only 2 people in the Commission can change in each year, so there's good continuity with the Commission. The Commission must consider scientific knowledge and technological developments, but also a lot of other things like economic effects and social effects. They have to consider how various groups of people in New Zealand will be affected. The Minister can request the Commission to make all sorts of different reports. There's a schedule of reports that they have to make, but also if things change, there might be requirements for new reports, and so the Minister can ask for different reports at any time. The Commission can review the targets and make recommendations for them to be changed, but they can only be changed if very important things happen. So we've got things like global action, which means that people in other countries might make big changes, so that affects the changes that we have to make. And there's a whole lot of economic and cultural reasons why we might need to make changes, but it's very difficult for changes to the overall goal to be made. But you can make little changes as you go, just to deal with things that happen on a temporary basis. It's important to understand that the actual main work is done in adaptation plans, and the adaptation plans are formed from the risk assessments. There's a lot of reporting that goes on during the implementation of the plans so that we understand what's going on. And of course, just to reiterate, what we're trying to do is achieve particular goals. So the goal of keeping warming below 1.5 degrees C, which is the Paris Agreement, and we have the target to get greenhouse gases to 0 by 2050. And there's one small exception, or a big exception perhaps, which is biogenic methane. Biogenic methane is a greenhouse gas, and it's emitted from living things. So if you've got land with trees or fields with animals, they're all going to produce methane, and a lot of that we can't control because it just happens due to how land and water occurs naturally and in the environment. But some of it can be changed by the way we do things like farming and growing trees. So we're going to try and reduce biogenic methane by 10% by 2030 and up to 24 to 47% by 2050. Thanks for watching my video. I'm Daryl, and my channel is Daryl Talks About New Zealand, and you can find me on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and ask me questions in the comments. Thanks very much for watching.